question received by email. I will not reveal the identity of the person. Here's the question. I was born and raised in Iskcon. My parents are Prabhupada disciples, and my parents divorced a long time ago. My questions, plural, my questions arise and constantly surround the concept of faith. To be honest, I don't have faith in Krishna. I find the philosophy and the life skills taught to be very beneficial in my friendships with like-minded individuals supportive, but I have no true faith in Krishna or the stories. There is sentiment from my upbringing and being raised with this, but I know this is not faith. I have seen many people rise and fall within Iskcon, and many who continue on the path but show no real change or growth by simply practicing the external rituals. I find many non-devotees just as insightful, kind, and trying to live life with awareness or mode of goodness. I find it increasingly unfair and somewhat illogical that we are to have this faith and belief in Krishna and all these scriptural stories, but no true interactions with them. It would be like me telling my children to have faith that I care and love them, then move to the other side of the world and never interact with them, but tell them they must believe or they struggle to survive and understand why I left them. If they lost faith or belief in my love because I left them, I certainly wouldn't blame them because I was never present for them to engage with and experience love. This idea is just ridiculous to me. I'm sure people say they feel God's presence and interact with Him in their lives, but a lot of people have felt this and done terrible or crazy things. Who's right? We can discuss what makes someone bonafide, but in my experience with Iskcon and people in general is we tend to prop up or hype what fits our current beliefs or what we want to be true, even if we don't have all the facts or knowledge, or it may not even be truth. Okay, I can ramble on, and I don't think I specifically wrote a question. I would greatly appreciate your thoughts or insight on faith in God. Thank you sincerely. Signature. First, my apologies for taking such a long time to respond. I was literally immobile for a month and a half, and then I was out in the wilderness for a while. As you have noticed, you don't have a specific question. And so it is somewhat difficult for me to address the problem or even to identify the problem. So what I'm about to say, I hope it is relevant and I hope it helps. Also, I thank you dearly for putting so much trust in me to intimating to me these questions of yours or this problem. A few things. First, you have to notice that the concept of God has inspired a lot of people for a long time. Now that inspiration comes from the appropriate concept of God. If one has not appropriate concept of God, then one will not be inspired by the concept of God. As you noticed, no one can demand from you to have faith. Faith is something that organically manifests or builds. For example, if you have experienced that water quenches thirst, then you have developed faith that water quenches thirst. And so anyone who demands faith, not understanding the nature of faith, is committing a gruesome mistake. And so it seems to me that someone has demanded faith from you. Faith in God, faith in soul, faith in whatever spiritual or religious concepts there are, cannot be demanded. This is something that grows organically. we're conscious beings, we move around, we have experiences, and we interpret these experiences. So if someone demands faith from us, and I have also heard statements like this, you have to have faith, otherwise you cannot make progress. Of course you have to have faith to make progress in anything. Krishna's statements, there are such statements in Bhagavad Gita, are meant to illustrate universal principles. They work everywhere, in every field. You cannot become a musician unless you have faith. Why? Because you cannot commit to something unless you have faith and trust that you're going to get something out of it. And how can you persevere in anything if you don't have faith? But how does faith arise? The faith does not arise by someone demanding it. The faith is something that arises organically. So if you study authentic concepts of God, the soul, religious, spiritual concepts, then I'm sure you're going to be inspired. For one example here you're giving, if you find it ridiculous that you have no interaction with God, and yet faith in God is demanded from you, and you give the example of your children. If you as a parent were to remove yourself from your children and demand faith in God, but wait, what if you have removed yourself from God? One can have intimate experiences with Krishna, but not merely by hearing some stories. For example, if you read Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book, he constantly demands adhikar, or certain qualifications. And when you fulfill these qualifications, then the stories have a meaning, have a purport, and are meaningful to you. Otherwise, they're just stories. That's one thing. The other thing is, again, it seems that someone has demanded faith from you, demanded faith in stuff that it's taught within an institution, and in this case, the institution is that of Iskcon, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Now, I have dedicated my whole life to the missionary work within this institution, but I too cannot be so stupid and say that what goes on within any institution is divine. This is a recipe for a horrible disaster. So therefore you have rightly noticed that there are people within Iskcon or with any institution, religious or otherwise, who are like saints, and those who are like devils. Mere membership in an institution does not produce quality. Neither does any institution, just by its own existence, have the right of monopoly over truth. So just the fact that something is being taught within an institution does not tell you anything besides that certain individuals within that institutions are teaching it. What you need to do is value the information on the basis of the very information, not on the basis of its origin. So yes, one does not have to be a member of Iskcon to be a saint. One does not even have to be religious to be good. Krishna also teaches this in the Bhagavad Gita. One could be an atheist and be a very decent person, very kind and loving, and etc., etc. But in Krishna consciousness, we perceive these qualities to be divine. And these qualities are not to be had by mere membership in an institution. So again, faith is something that organically arises. If you study the nature of absurdity of this world, the nature of pleasure and pain in this world, like many other people, you may also your faith may arrive to this position where you're going to seek something outside of this world. And when I say this world, I mean this physical world where everything is temporary. And without eternal concepts such as God, soul, spiritual world, this life and existence in this world is literally meaningless. And this is what this world presents itself like. And people who are not satisfied with just this face value of the world have sought more. And you also can, like this, seek more, but not by mere membership, or you seek it by studying it. Study the information that's presented, and study the information that's presented in the literature given in Iskcon, and then value that information on the basis of the information itself. And in this way, you can build your naturally and organically build your faith. Okay, that's just a few words on the topic. I try to keep these messages relatively short. It's already 11 minutes. Again, thank you for messaging me, and I hope I have addressed the issue, and I hope it's useful or helpful to you. And please feel free to write again, even though I often take a long time to respond. Hare Krishna.